Okay, greatest common factors. Okay, the GCF of these lists. And right now, all we're going to do is just find the greatest common factor of these items. And really, the greatest common factor is really what you can divide them by. Now, I personally think that the letters actually become easier once you realise what to do. But for now, let's just have a look at the coefficients. Okay, so what can we divide these by? Right. Okay, and I'm going to put a little line. So what can I divide an 8 and a 24 by? Alright? So, I mean, you can throw a 2 out there, you can throw a 4 out there, but surely an 8 is better. Okay, what's the biggest thing, the greatest one you can divide by? That's 8. So all of these, or both of them anyway, will divide by 8. Okay, that's it. So that's the number part, the coefficient. Now then, here's where you kind of maybe need to learn some new material, and that's what will the x's divide by. Now let's think about this, okay? So I know 8 can divide by 8, and I know 24 can divide by 8. But what can x squared and x7 be divided by? Well, think about it if I write it over here. X squared and x7, okay? So this x7, it can be divided by an x7, an x6, an x5, an x4, okay? Anything smaller than that or the same, okay? Now the x2, that can be divided by x squared and x. So think about it. The biggest one that both of them can be divided by is the x squared itself. If I put an x cubed over here, great. I can do x7 divided by x cubed. I can't do x squared divided by x cubed. The x cubed is too big. So if you think about it again, it's an x squared, so over here, it's an x squared that both of these will divide by. Okay? And so if you think about that, you just pick the smallest exponent in the list, okay? An x2 and an x7, you would just pick x2, and that's it. That's the list of, that's the greatest common factor, 8x squared, okay? Let's do it for the next one. Okay, what will 15 and 35 divide by? But me personally, I would go, well, I can see what the smallest x is. It's x cubed. There you go. That's the answer for the x's. But anyway, let's do it all, okay? 15 and 35, they'll both divide by 5. Okay? And x cubed and x6, well, they'll both divide by the x cubed, the x3, because that's the smallest of the ones I can see. Okay? And that's it. So that 5x cubed is the greatest common factor. Now then, watch this next one. I've deliberately put this one in here. Okay, so that one, and that one. Right, okay, what will all three divide by? 11, 11 and 2. Can't divide by any numbers. Okay, you could divide by 1, but we don't really bother with that. So actually the coefficients are out. There's nothing I can divide by like questions 1 and 2, so I'm not going to factor any numbers out of these, okay? A5, A2, A5. Can you see it's an A2? Okay, that is the smallest in the list of the A's, the smallest exponent. So all of these things will divide by an A2. That's the greatest common factor because you can't take any B's out. Remember, if there's not, I can see a B6 in the middle, but if there's no B in the first, that's just 11A5. There's no B in the last, that's just 2A5. Then I can't take any B's, I can't factor anything out of there, just like I couldn't take any numbers out. Okay, I can't take any B's out, it's only an A in everything, and it's A2 that I could factor out. Okay, and let's just do the last one. Okay, so what will all of these divide by? That one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay, X is in them all. Y is in them all. Okay, so we can take X's and Y's out because they're in all four of these. Smallest X, can you see? Right here, an X. Okay, so I'll be able to divide all of these by X. Okay, you don't need to write this once really. If the question is what's the greatest common factor, then it's X. What's the smallest Y? It looks like this one here. Okay, so Y5. Okay, now Y5. I suppose I don't really have to write all these. I mean, if I actually had to do the division, which I will do on the next video, okay, the next questions, and that's it. So again, here we go. X, Y5 is what all of those four things can be divided by, and that's the greatest common factor.